Dear friends, today is Guru Purnima. In this auspicious day of Guru Purnima, I want to thank all my gurus, starting from my mother, from my school teachers, my college professors, and also continuously I am gaining knowledge from my gurus. Even my patients are also my gurus. So, in this auspicious day, I want to thank all of them from core of my heart. Especially today, we want to discuss a very important topic, and that is how we can improve our spiritual health. So, when we talk about spiritual health, it is often neglected, but at the same time, we need to acknowledge the World Health Organization, WHO, always emphasizes on not only about the physical health, they taught us about physical, mental, social, and also spiritual well-being. And when we talk about this spiritual well-being, we need to revisit the teaching of our great ancestors. Very recently, we had published this paper in a very good Journal of Modern Medicine, about the lessons from Srimad Bhagavad Gita for healthcare providers, what we learn from COVID-19 cases. Here, I want to thank my gurus, Professor Shantanu Tripathi sir, Professor Shashank Joshi sir, Professor Shoibal Moitro sir, Professor Jyotirmoy Pal sir, who had given their immense teaching. Their, they had shared their knowledge with me to learn this important topic. And at this onset, I want to thank my professor, Ardhendu Sinha Roy sir, is a professor of general medicine who is also has a huge influence to learn this topic. And my madam, my MD thesis guide, Professor Parboti Panda, who is currently fighting with some diseases. I pray to God for her wellness. So, what is important? What messages I got from these teachers? That when we talk about our education, any form of education, because we want to go to our gurus to gain to for education. Why we went to the teacher? Because we want some education from them. But when we are talking about education, many times, just like any drug has some side effect, education also have some side effect. And if that side effect is huge, that will lead to some atrocious outcome. So these teachers had taught me that when we talk about education, beware of its greatest side effect, that is another ego. So we should understand education carries a huge side effect that lead to atrocious outcome, that is ego. We need to learn how we can delete this ego. Instead of ego, what is important, again, two E's are very important. One E, that is empathy, another E, that is ethics. So when we talk about education, we should get this empathy and ethics blended with education, and that will give us efficacious outcome rather than the side effects. So when we talk about this spiritual lessons from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, we had discussed a few cases of COVID-19, how we approach those cases for our own spiritual health from those lessons. So that we had discussed. And again, once again, I want to say my utmost greetings to all my gurus, because today is also we are celebrating the Guru Purnima. Ajnanat timirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam jena tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. So I want to pranam my all gurus today. And when we talk about our gurus, we should not forget one of the greatest gurus in this part of world, great Sankaracharya, Adi Sankaracharya, who had taught a lot of philosophical ideas which are essential for being healthy from the perspective of spirituality. So there was one incident when great Sankaracharya was traveling in Benares, the Varanasi, and he was on the way to the temple of Lord Vishwanath. What happened? Some Chandal, we can say that time they were very, they were seen as a very lower caste people who were there in the Shwashan to burn the shab. So that Chandal was obstructing his field, his path, and Lord Shankaracharya's disciples were there, his students were there. Along with Chandal, there was another lady, Chandalini, and 4 dogs. The Chandal was drunk. So that Shankaracharya's students, disciples, they had shouted at Chandal and told, "Hey, go away, go away. You are achut, untouchable." So Chandal was stopped, and then he asked those disciples, "Oh, I am untouched. Now please ask your guru, who is actually untouched? Is it my body? Then if it is my body, your guru told some day, had written some time, that our body is made up of all these things that happen in this Prakriti. So every part of this Prakriti is untouchable then? Or you want to say the inner think my Atma, that is untouchable. Is it like that? Is my Atma is untouchable? Then I must say that Atma, which is also a part of Paramatma, and that Paramatma part is also present in all of you, inside all of you, then you all become also untouchable. Please let me know what you are telling. Now, great moment comes. The great Sankaracharya go down to the feet of that Chandal and ask his mercy. And that time he had written this, uttering this great mantra, Nirvanashtakam. And this is something, a beautiful mantra, we must say. Na punnang na papang, na shaukhyang na dukhyang, na mantro na tirtho, na veda na yagya, ahang bhojanang naiva, bhojyang na bhokta, chidananda rupa, sivoham sivoham. I am neither the act of enjoying, neither the act of enjoyable, nor the enjoyer. I am existence absolute, knowledge absolute, bliss absolute. I am He, I am He, Shivoham, Shivoham. So this was something great. And again, this teaching of Sankaracharya emphasize how we should delete the ego-e from education, how we should include empathy and ethics in education. So that is something beautiful. Later, we know, someone explained that Chandal was actually Lord Shiv. The Chandalini was Ma Durga, and those 4 dogs, they were actually 4 representative of 4 Vedas, Rig, Sam, Jaju, Atharva. So this was a beautiful story, and I think we learned from this story a lot of messages. Now, in that same place, one day, one afternoon, again, Lord Shankaracharya was going to wade in Ganges. Now, there was a shop, that is a dead body just beside that river Ganges, which is obstructing his path. And there was a lady who was sitting in that path. So Sankara went and asked Mata, hey mother, please give me some side. I want to go to Ganges. Then that lady was sitting, very angrily asked Shankara, hey, you are always talking about Shiv, Shab, and Shivoham. Everything is Shiva. So tell that Shab to please move and then go. Why you are asking me to move? Again, a great lesson comes. It is not always, not at all about Shiva only. So without Prakriti, there is nothing about Shiva. Without Ma, without mother, the father cannot do anything. So the gati, our movement, our motion is dependent on mother, on nature. Shiva is there, yes, we need to acknowledge the static inertia. But at the same time, we need to understand the value of motion. So instantly, Shankaracharya prayed and prayed to Mother, न जानामि पुण्यं न जानामि तीर्थं न जानामि मुक्तिं लयं वा कदाचित् न जानामि भक्तिं व्रतं वापि मातः गतिस्तं त्वमेका भवानी. This was a beautiful Bhavanashtak Stotra created by great Sankaracharya. He had emphasized the importance of gati, importance of mother, importance of nature. Why we are discussing this? Because these concepts are very important when we are talking about spiritual health. It is not only about one end. This is bidirectional. We are now in a phase maybe which we can see, but before we are sitting here and after we will after this journey will end, and that is again not the absolute end of our journey. That is an ongoing process, and that we need to believe, that we need to understand, and that will give a lot of happiness, that will make us spiritual healthy. So again, when we talk about great Sankaracharya, again, we are really blessed in this land. In every yug, we got some yuga avatar. We got great Swami Vivekananda. We got Sri Ramakrishna. So this was, I think all of us know, this is the symbol of Ramakrishna mission, and this was drawn by Swami Vivekananda. Why? There are different meanings of this symbol. We can see this wavy water. This actually symbolic of our karma. We can see this lotus, that is the symbolic of bhakti. Then there is a rising sun, that is the symbol of our knowledge. And this is very important. The encircling serpent, that is indicative of yoga, awakened Kundalini Shakti. And when we talk about this one, that is the Paramatma. So what is the meaning? If we have a perfect union of wavy water, the karma, lotus of bhakti, the bhakti, the rising sun of jnana, knowledge, the jnana, and with that, if we can have that perfect encircling serpent, which is a indicative of yoga, attention. So karma, bhakti, jnana, yoga, or attention, that will help us to reach the ultimate goal, that is the Paramatma. So swan in that picture. So jnana, knowledge, bhakti, devotion, karma, action, plus yoga, then we can see the Paramatma. Paramatma darshan can happen. So union of karma, jnana, bhakti, and yoga. So finally, the vision of Paramatma is obtained. And when we talk about power of yoga, that is nothing but the power of focus or attention or concentration. And these are an important factor to become spiritually healthy. So we will discuss a little more on this attention part and how Swami Vivekananda taught us to become attentive. So when we talk about his great quotes, once he told, difference between an ordinary and legendary person lies in the degree of concentration. The power of concentration is the only key to the treasure house of the knowledge. So that is the important thing. When we talk about our personal resources, we need to understand we need to be attentive. The time is important, and of course, our energy. So how we can maximize these personal resources? We need not to buy these all. We have this inside us. How we can maximize that? So the first thing is attention. As the attention, we can say this is the primary commodity, and emphasizing its status as the most valuable resource. All the sages had emphasized about that. So the attention. The next, we need to acknowledge the importance of time. So acknowledging time as the next crucial asset. Third is energy. This is a key resources we need to understand. Without energy, how we can talk, how we can stand in front of you all. So recognizing energy as a vital component of personal resources, that is also important, and we need to maximize that energy. And for that, we need to emphasize on our physical health, mental health, and social health. So when we talk about energy, we often forget the spiritual health part, but that is also coming. Isolation from distraction, the need to detach. So detachment is important here from the outer world for better focus. So when I am presenting this, I need to focus in this PowerPoint presentation only. I need to focus on this subject only. I should not think about other things happening surrounding. So that isolation is important. This detachment is important. And preventing self-scatter. The strategies to maintain concentration and avoid diluting the personal efforts. So that is very important, how we can prevent the self-scatter. And this is a perfect example. You can see the gaze of that snake. The eyes, they're fixed to the target. And when we talk about attention, we need to emphasize on this precision focus. We need to embrace the cobra's gaze. This precision focus on their prey, laser-like precision. That is the first step of focusing attention. Then we need to maintain. It is not only just that laser-like precision for very initial thing. We need to make it. We need to maintain the focus. We need to remain vigilant so that other things should not come into that path. So steadfast guarding, maintaining focus, remains vigilant and poised. Then selective isolation, shut out its surrounding. This is the final step of deep focus. We will become deep focused. Again, this is very crucial. We often say, yesterday night, I had gone through some Facebook scrolling, and sometimes I'm chatting with someone else, and sometimes I'm maybe seeing some reels, and it took almost 30 minutes, 45 minutes of my time. And today morning, when I wake up, again I become my sleep was prolonged, and there was I became late by 45 minutes. And now I am thinking that was a totally waste of time. I was that time very much focused. But actually, that focused, that enjoyable activity, maybe for that particular time, is not being enjoyed by me today at all. I am cursing myself. Why I am wasting my time in scrolling those Facebook reels? So, one of the very uh, beautiful quote by one psychologist, that is, most enjoyable activities are not natural. They demand an effort that initially one is reluctant to make. But once the interaction starts to provide feedback to the person's skills, it usually begins to be intrinsically rewarding. For an example, initially, maybe few days back, when at the same time, I was writing one content, I was writing one small paper. And while I am reading and writing, maybe initially I was being a little bored. My son is sleeping just beside me. Why I am wasting my time? I want to go to bed. But initially, that period was past. I start enjoying the activity. And what happened? I had finished that paper, and when I go to bed and sleep, next day morning when I wake up, I felt good because I had done something which is actually enjoyable. And very recently that paper was published. Very happy, and that happiness continues. So this is the difference between writing a good paper and watching reels in Facebook. At that particular time, when I'm start seeing the Facebook reels, I may become happy. When I am giving some reply to some of the comments which are actually appraising me, that time I may become very happy. But as the time goes, we can understand which is the real enjoyable activity and which is the real enjoyable activities. So that difference we need to understand. Same thing, the best moments in our lives are not the passive, receptive, and relaxing times. The best moments usually occur if a person's body or mind is stretched to its limits in a voluntary effort to accomplish something difficult and worthwhile. This is what we are discussing. And when we talk about writing paper and just watching series, web series in Netflix, we can understand the difference between those two. Which, which is the actual best moment? After a few days, we will understand. And when we talk about attention, this is something we need to remember. This was one of the greatest innings by Master Blaster. He had scored 241 in Sydney, I think, or Melbourne against Australia. But just see the scoring sites, that 241. There was no cover drive. This field is totally empty. Do you know why? Because at the same time in that series, while trying to make cover drive, he was being bowled maybe 4 or 5 times. So let's stop taking that shot in that innings and scored a massive 241. And we need to acknowledge Sachin Tendulkar is one of the best cricket player who is making the cover drive. One of the beautiful cover drive he always make. But for the sake of his own achievement, he had sacrificed his arch to make that cover drive in that particular innings. And that is something what is attention is. And that is something how we can we need to detach from all sorts of provocation. So the power of focused attention, applying full attention to all tasks, regardless of their nature or importance. Again, we may think, if I am talking with someone else, just chatting, why we should give full attention to that chatting? Is it really required? So needing full attention for important tasks like studying, and that is okay, I understand. But these are something relaxing activity while chatting with friend. So why should we have attention in that particular activity? But again, Swami Vivekananda emphasis on disciplined attention. If we can make the attention in every activities, even if we become attentive during our relaxation time, that will give us the habit of attention. The concept of the mind forming habits based on how we use it, the potential pitfalls of letting the mind wander without focus, and difficulties in focusing when it is needed if the habit of inattention is formed. So that is also an habit. So attention is something which we need to inject it inside our habit so that we'll get its maximum benefit. Reinforce the idea that keeping the mind under full attention in all activities is crucial for developing a disciplined and focused mindset. So this is very important, we need to understand. And when we talk about the role of attention in quality of life, spiritual health, I think that is very, very important to understand for us, for doctors too. Here, I just want to thank again Swami Vivekananda and his all disciples, the monks of Ramakrishna Mission. They had taught us various aspects, not only a spiritual thing, but how to become a successful in our day-to-day life, how we can improve our quality of life. Very recently, I had gone through one of the lecture of a very famous monk of Ramakrishna Mission, Swami Sarvopriyananda Maharaj Ji. My pranam to him. So he had a beautiful lecture on how we can have a good quality of life with full of attention. So attachment and detachment in education. So that is explain the need to selectively focus and detach for effective learning. So with whom we should attach, with whom we should detach, that we need to understand. Determining the life quality, how the subjects and intensity of our thoughts shape our life experience. So for an example, we had given that example, comparing 1 hour of leisurely browsing on Facebook with reading an engaging academic journal article. You will understand after a few days, then you will say, yes, that academic journal article when I was reading, that was something big. But you will forget about that leisurely browsing on Facebook. That was totally a waste of time. But of course, again, this type of teaching, this type of lessons, what I was mentioning about uh, uh, the Swami Sargopriyananda Maharaj Ji, I found that video in Facebook only. So there are some pros and cons of everything. So we need to understand that, we need to acknowledge that. And he told about this case study, one cancer patient who improved his quality of life by focusing on writing, which was actually a beloved activity by him instead of their fear of death. So he told the story that the patient was suffering from some pancreatic cancer and he was an excellent writer, but when he know about his disease, he become very ill. His quality of life gone down. He was seeing death every day. But someone told, why you stop your writing? Start your writing again. So he restart his writing. He, he was continuing his activities. And that actually helped him to have a good quality of life. Death will be there. Death is something which will occur to all. That is most important truth in all of our life. One day it will come. But every day if we think about that, so that will compromise our quality of life. So when we talk about transforming mindset with mindful attention, that is something very important. How mind's power shape the reality. So the mind is its own place and in itself can make a heaven of hell and a hell of heaven. This was a great line from Paradise Lost by John Milton. So this is why we need to understand the importance of mindful attention. Finally, let's discuss about this very important book, which actually taught us about 6 pillars of self-esteem. This was by Brandon. How to raise our self-esteem. First of all, we need to live consciously. We need to accept ourselves. Self-acceptance is very important. And responsibility. What is my responsibility? Self-responsibility is important. And always believe the self-acceptance. Again, if we went back to Swami Vivekananda's teaching, what he had taught us, he told he is an atheist who does not believe in himself. So we need to believe ourselves, that is most important. And the famous quote, the old religion said that he was an atheist who did not believe in God, but the new religion says that he is an atheist who does not believe in himself. So we need to believe ourselves. What are the other 3 parts? Self-assertiveness. And when we talk about self-assertiveness, it is not about manipulation. Here, A is assertiveness, not aggressiveness. So no manipulation. We should not have any aggression. We should have a communication that is honest, open, be prepared for rejection and non-acceptance. But we should communicate honestly. Again and again, we must emphasize on that. Avoid manipulation, avoid aggression, living purposefully. We should have some purpose of our life, and the personal integrity is important. And when we talk about living purposefully and personal integrity, we need to understand these two aims, that is materialism and morality. When we talk about these two aims, materialism and morality, multiplied product is, we can say it is ethics. So if materialism is zero, our living is not purposefully, our maybe we have a very high level of personal integrity, high level of morality. So that will also not give something productive. And when I am not moral, but I am having some highly materialized or highly planned thing, so that also ultimately a multiplied product. So if morality is zero, then full score will be zero. So that we need to understand. But these 6 pillars, what we had discussed: number 1, living consciously; number 2, self-acceptance; number 3, self-responsibility; self-assertiveness, living purposefully; and personal integrity. These 6 pillars is not all everything, because the 6 pillars of self-esteem will not make a great man. That will make a good man or even a bad man also. Because if we just went back to the lessons from Ramayana, and if we just compare the characteristics of Ravana, all those 6 characters mentioned here, Ravana has. Why Ram is different then? Because Ram has something extra, and that is selflessness. And that selflessness come from the lessons from spirituality. And that is all about Ram. And when we talk about selflessness, we need to understand the great teaching of Lord Sri Krishna, the Bhagavad Gita. Yogastha kuru karmani swangam tvaktva dhananjaya siddho asiddho samo bhutva samattang yoga uchyate. Samattang yoga uchyate. So be steadfast in the performance of your duty, abandoning attachment to success and failure. Such equanimity is called yoga. So when we talk about yoga, when we talk about attention, if we mix it with that selflessness, so that will make us a spiritually healthy life. And I want to thank again all my gurus, because whatever I had discussed now, this was only due to their teaching only. So I think I want to once again thank my gurus, starting from my mother, my school teachers, my grandfather, my grandparents, my father, my college professors for their teaching. And once again, thank you, God, for at least presenting this important topic in front of you all. And pranam to you all. And happy Guru Purnima to all of you. Namaskar, pranam.